brain runs exclusively on the blood sugar you have in your system now. It has no way to store blood sugar. The muscle does. It has the ability to store glycogen and energy in the muscle. The brain does not. So it has to rely on the sugar you have in your system now. If you have low blood sugar, your brain is low blood sugar and it's not functioning very well, and it doesn't want beans and cornbread, and it doesn't want healthy food. It wants something fast now. It doesn't want to wait. It wants sugar. And that's generally what happens is the low blood sugar causes us to reach for sugar, and it creates this nasty, vicious cycle. It's a roller coaster. You're high on sugar and low on sugar, and it's just this flight that's very bumpy.
This is Ultra Life Today. I'm Josh Bellieu. What derails you the most when you're thinking about weight loss, when you're thinking about being fit? What is the one thing that seems to hit all of us? I know for me, it's Haagen-Dazs ice cream. And you might not think of it looking at me. I do have a fast metabolism, but we're going to be talking today. We've got Kyle Drew here with us. We've got Todd Scarborough, 5-time Mr. Arkansas, with us. And we're going to try to figure out a way to crush your sugar craving. And this is the guy to tell you, because Todd, welcome back. And you told us in a text, Kyle and I, that your self-admitted Achilles heel is sugar. Help us out, man.
Yeah, I admitted right on the air in front of God and everybody that I was a sugar addict. Yes, and think about it, guys. I mean, it is truly one of the single most addictive substances that we have. That's a legal product for sure. Wow. If you don't believe that sugar is addictive, then just try to quit that little habit and watch what happens. You'll start fidgeting much like a drug addict. And wow. I have to treat it that way. I really do, because my mother fed me fudge when I was a child. I got treats. This was the way we were rewarded, is with sugar. Mm-hmm. And so I've been on it, and it's constantly, I have to watch it, but there are ways to battle it, and you do have to take a serious approach with it. It is not something that, and most people today are they're totally unconscious of how much sugar they're taking. I think it's like 270 pounds a year now, to 275 pounds a year.
Goodness.
For the average American. That's almost a pound a day.
Wow. That's unbelievable. Unbelievable.
It is.
Are you, how do you begin? Because I know that going through a lot of training yourself and training a lot of people, there has to be an awful lot of this that you're seeing out there. And so where to begin if somebody comes to you and begins to realize, you know what, I have just got sugar cravings all the time. How do you start?
Well, first by a hug and a bless your heart, because I can sympathize and understand. But the first place that I take people is to start, again, write down everything you're eating. I want to know what you're eating. Don't lie to me. I mean, tell me what you're eating. And then I can see, I get about a 5-day history of just them keeping their diet the same. Don't change anything. Tell me what you're eating. A lot of the times you look at these added snacks that they're putting in, the sugary snacks. That's where we're putting on weight. That's how we're getting in trouble. Like Josh said, that is the biggest hang up with diet and weight loss, is the sugar cravings that we have. And why is simple, guys, is that the brain runs exclusively on the blood sugar you have in your system now. It has no way to store blood sugar. The muscle does. It has the ability to store glycogen and energy in the muscle. The brain does not. So it has to rely on the sugar you have in your system now. If you have low blood sugar, your brain is low blood sugar and it's not functioning very well, and it doesn't want beans and cornbread, and it doesn't want healthy food. It wants something fast now. It doesn't want to wait. It wants sugar. And that's generally what happens is the low blood sugar causes us to reach for sugar, and it creates this nasty, vicious cycle. It's a roller coaster. You're high on sugar and low on sugar, and it's just this flight that's very bumpy.
So you begin by taking kind of a dietary history. Once you see it and you start to see where the holes are, what do you recommend? How do they shift from probably a sugar-rich or carb-heavy diet? How do you help them to shift? Because sometimes that is they're going to come do it kicking and screaming, Todd.
Yeah, I was going to say shackles and chains generally help, I mean, well, when people ask me, they go, I get sugar cravings at night and what do I do then? I go, tie yourself in the bed. I don't know. I mean, really, it was that difficult. I mean, no, I'm kidding, of course, but it's something that you have to, first of all, Kyle, to answer your question seriously, is you have to understand what's happening. You have to understand the craving itself. It's not that your body needs those calories. Your body is not starving to death. Your body is not saying, if I don't get that sweet treat, that I'm going to die. It's doing it because most of the time, either low blood sugar or emotional needs. A lot of the times we're looking for love in all the wrong places, and we're eating to satisfy a craving and a hunger that's a different type of hunger. And so a lot of the times these cravings and these desires that we have for food, in reality, goes back to an emotional tie. And you have to understand and start thinking about that connection, thinking, okay, do I really need that? It's like cutting down on any drug. The drug addict has to go, do I really want that, right? Like a cigarette. Do I really want to smoke on it? Do I really need this right now? And I think when people ask themselves that question, when they get a sugar craving, do I really want that now? I mean, do I really need it? And what is it doing for me? I mean, the long-term results of it, not good. We're trying to change that. So anytime you're trying to change something, you have to almost have an inner dialogue going to some degree.
Todd, in another interview, I learned something fascinating from you, and that was that the right amount of protein can actually help level out a person's emotions. I'm hoping you're going to say, if a person gets their protein up, potentially their cravings for sugar go down. Is that possible?
That's exactly right. And when you're having blood sugar issues, yes, most people want to reach for that sugar because it instantly cures the problem. But then it takes you over the edge, your insulin level spikes, and it comes back down, and then you're right back in that same hole, if not lower. The actual approach that you should take is some type of protein source. In fact, before bedtime, we know now that just a straight protein shake actually helps with fat burning process, because protein, again, balances the blood sugar better than about anything out there, because it brings the blood sugar up naturally instead of doing it artificially with an enormous amount of sources from the outside, say any type of sweet treats.
I've seen a lot of studies that really demonstrate exercise and its relationship with blood sugar and even sugar cravings is pretty direct. In other words, the right kind of exercise really helps to modulate those cravings.
Okay.
How do you think about exercise as it relates to sugar cravings?
That's such a great point, because what people need to understand is that when you work out, let's say you're tired, people say, well, I'm tired and I don't really feel like working out today. I go, look, give me 3 sets. That's all I want. It just give me 3 sets in 5 minutes, 5 or 10 minutes. And if you feel like going home, then I'll let you go home. But what happens is most of the time people are mentally tired, not necessarily physically tired.
Yeah.
And even if they're dealing with low blood sugar, when you start the workout, blood sugar is released. It has to be.
Amazing.
Anytime you do any physical activity, the blood sugar is going to be released and come back up. So people, they go into the gym and they're tired and feel good. They leave in 45 minutes and go, wow, I'm glad I came in here. So there's so many benefits to the exercise process of releasing blood sugar. And the other aspect of exercise that relates to sugar is when you work out, you're burning sugar out of the muscle. Okay, you're burning that energy store from the muscle. When you eat, the body wants to take that sugar and not put it in the fat cells. It wants to put it back in the muscle. So when you train the muscle and exercise the muscle, the sugar wants to go back there, not in the fat cells. So by doing an exercise program, you're training the body to put the sugar back in the muscle where it should be and serves the body well, as opposed on the hips and the form of fat.
Excellent.
Yeah, I think one other thing that has to be asked, throughout my life, any time that I have gone too late at night and got up too soon, I have a completely different craving profile. In other words, I get to bed at 2 a.m. and I have to wake up at 6 a.m. I haven't gotten enough sleep, and that changes what I'm recognizing I'm craving throughout the day. What are you seeing in terms of the relationship between sleep and cravings?
Boy, the science that has come out now about the importance of sleep, the depth of sleep, time, duration of sleep, all of that is just stunning.
Mm-hmm.
But we're a society that's push, push, push. You're almost judged on by the fact that you can pride yourself on working all night and through the night, and that's not good. And in Kyle, what you're describing, when you lack sleep and when you don't get enough sleep, what that is basically the adrenals. It's the body trying to make up for that through ramping things higher. Blood pressure comes up, stress hormones come up, cortisol levels come up, and all in response to the fact that your body's not totally recovered. So it has to go into another gear, almost a stress response to some degree. And when you have stress and you have high cortisol levels, guess what cortisol does? Stores fat.
Mm-hmm.
It messes with that process. You don't burn fat very well when you're stressed and you have cortisol levels that are high because that suppresses the fat burning process. So it's about chilling. It's about getting sleep. We could do a show, guys, a long show on the importance of sleep. And I'm a nerd. You know me. I'm a nerd with muscles, as my boys call me. And I just love input. And here lately, I've been on sleep and the importance of it. And there's so much good information out there now on it.
Yeah. So a two-part question here. What kind of foods, healthy foods, might one use to replace sugar things? And then what about sugar substitutes? They've gotten really big in the last decade. How does that fit into cravings and being able to manage weight, Todd?
Yeah, and the other sugar substitutes, I tell people are okay just simply because if they have to have them, I wouldn't rely on them. I wouldn't take them often. I'm a big stevia fan, certainly.
Okay.
I think that stevia is an okay product to use. And I do believe that it serves a purpose in helping people come off of these things, certainly.
Okay.
But as far as that goes, I wouldn't rely on them, no.
Okay.
And then what was your other question?
And then healthy foods that might replace the Snicker bar, but might actually satisfy a little bit of that craving for sugar.
That's a really good point. And what I think the best thing I've heard is eat the fruit and don't drink the juice. So in other words, it's fruit juice that gets us in trouble and I agree with that, because it takes 9 oranges to make a glass of, 8 or 9 oranges to make a glass of orange juice.
Yeah.
That's an enormous, so you probably couldn't eat that many oranges. But when you eat the fruit, you have the fiber in there, which helps slow the sugar release down as well. You get all the fiber that helps the good intestinal flora. When it's a concentrated sugar, just remember though, everybody should just remember, any type of concentrated sugar is like a fuel additive. I mean, it's like a fuel additive to your car. It's something that you should use sparsely. And at times, like with me, after a workout, I take in a simple sugar. I take in juice. I take in about 12 ounces to 14 ounces of juice with protein because it goes back quickly into the muscle. You have about an hour of recovery time is optimal. So that's when I use it. So when you can use it and use it smart. In fact, women that have sugar cravings, after I get them going and they still have them, I go, okay, here's what you can do after the workout today. You can have your chocolate bar. And after their workout, let them eat a chocolate bar.
Wow.
And it goes back. They get their sugar cravings. And you know what happens, guys? If they've gone 3 or 4 weeks without it and they've learned how to do without and they finally get it and they're craving it, they're going, oh, great. And they eat it and they get halfway through and they go, it's not that great. I think it's a lot of the times it's in our mind. It's what we can't have, that makes it what it is in our head.
I'm fired up about this idea. I think you're sending me to the gym today if I can do that right after the workout. I hope that we get to talk to you at some point about exercise recovery. That little part that you just said is really interesting. But I think that everything that you said today is worth thinking about again and again, shifting little by little. You've had an awful lot of empathy with the folks that you've trained and walked through. You began by saying, hug them and say, bless your heart. And sometimes that's what it has to begin.
Yep.
Well, and then I tell people, look, we can handle this. You can do this. I promise you. And I got you. I know how to do it. And merge, guys. The end of the show is a perfect word to use. Merge into that lane. Don't go in so fast. Most people try to jump in so quick.
Yep.
Merge into anything you do, any change you do, a couple of changes, merge in. That's the reason they have a merge lane on the freeway. Everything's going fast around you. You're coming in trying to match that. Merge on anything, sugar addiction, exercise, all that. Small steps and keep making that progress till you get up to speed where you want.
Cheers. You're the best, Todd.
Perfect.
You're the best, brother.
All right, you've been listening to Todd Scarborough, 5-time Mr. Arkansas, and a person that has actually personally walked this road with hundreds, if not thousands of people toward better health, a journey for a smaller you, a fitter you, a healthier you. Kyle Drew's hanging out over here with me. I'm Josh Bellieu. This is Ultra Life Today.